Hey, everybody, welcome back to 2 Hours on a Sunday. I'm Nick,
And I'm Brian.
and today we are talking about the seasonal cult classic favorite, A Nightmare Before Christmas. Now, this is a movie that I didn't watch as a kid. I kind of got into it a little bit later, but it's an interesting one, and I wanted to challenge Brian with giving it a view.
Because I've never seen this. I'm going to preface, I've never seen the movie.
Yep.
And I think it's because growing up through high school, I felt this movie was so overproduced in like
Yeah.
the way that everybody talked about it. And then
Mhm.
you'd see it everywhere. So it's one of those things where people say, oh, you got to watch this. And they keep talking it up. And you're like, I'm never going to watch it. You just keep overhyping this movie. So I think that's why I just never got around to putting it on, because so many people were just obsessed with this movie. And I just didn't get it. And it was also like a stop motion film.
Mhm.
And back in the day, I wasn't really fond of watching those growing up compared to now, where I've seen pretty much most of them. But yeah, I just think it was overhyped growing up, and I just didn't feel the need to join that kind of party.
Whenever somebody brings up a movie, they're like, "Oh, you gotta watch it, man." Something in my brain says, "Nah." I don't know why, but I have the exact same reaction to a lot of things where it gets hyped up. Because if it's hyped up, you're kind of disappointed when you watch it because it's
Right.
not like the biggest, greatest thing in the
Yeah.
world.
And I don't know if you know this, but Disney originally didn't want this under their IP because
Okay.
they didn't know it was under another company called Touchstone. And
Yes.
they were too worried it was going to ruin their fancy little brand because it
Yes.
was edgy and dark and not like everybody's used to. But it was only until they noticed it was growing in popularity where Disney was like, oh, let me hop on this bandwagon and call it a
Ours.
Disney movie. Which is, this is like myself coming at it. It's like, oh, I'm not going to watch this because it's growing in popularity. Where Disney is like, oh, let's just put our name on it now because people seem to think it's good. And
Yeah.
now we're going to market it like no tomorrow, which even till today, like there's so much Nightmare Before Christmas stuff
Mhm.
that I still was like, I don't want to watch this movie ever.
Yeah.
But now that we put it on the list, I was like, all right, it's time to do it.
Yep. And I first watched it, I think, I don't know, it was maybe we were in university at the time. So I was maybe 20, 21.
To preface, we're 30, everybody.
We're 30. Yeah, we're 30. Yeah. It was a little while. It was a decade ago that I first watched it. And I had no idea what it was. I mean, that's just me. Like I essentially live under a rock when it comes to like media until somebody else tells me about it. But I was like, oh, okay, like Halloween movie. I'll take a peek. And other than that, I had no idea about it. I knew there was like a skeleton and like a ragdoll kind of character, and that's about it. And there was a dog that's a ghost. And that's my knowledge of it. But I remember we were in Disney years and years and years ago, and there were like little pockets in stores, especially like at the Haunted Mansion. There was like a little bit of Nightmare Before Christmas. There's like an ornament for Christmas trees, and there was like a t-shirt, and that was it. And now you go to Hallmark, you go to Winners, and there's cards and like bags that have all of their faces plastered over it.
You go to a Hot Topic or any kind of
First
collectible
t-shirt
store,
you see,
yeah, it's
Jack Skellington.
Jack Skellington.
And alluding to how you kind of introduce this, I don't feel like it needs that kind of hype.
No, because it's Disney and they think they need to over merchandise everything. Because if you think about it, every other stop motion animated film, it comes and goes, right?
Yes.
Like Kubo and the Two Strings, I'm going to tell you right now, is a far better movie than this.
Yeah.
Then you have Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. That came and went last year.
Yep.
You know, it won the Oscar for animation.
That's right. Yes.
You have other movies like that kind of come and go, but the only reason this movie has stayed around so long, other than like the hardcore fans, is because Disney just keeps throwing money into merchandise.
Yep. Yeah, I totally agree. Because, yeah, if it wasn't marketed as persistently as it is, I think people would just kind of watch it on their own time. They would kind of just like put it on every once in a while, maybe in the background. It wouldn't be a part of their personalities, right?
Because most of Disney is just marketing towards 10 and under, where this is the angsty teen adult thinking Disney is cool.
Exactly.
Era.
Exactly. I definitely love my big Mickey Mouse sweater, but I'm not gonna wear a Jack Skellington sweater. You're never
Yeah.
gonna catch me in that. But let's chat a little bit about some of the things you liked about it.
Okay. For starters, I loved Oogie Boogie.
Yeah.
Oogie Boogie
Yes.
was my favorite part of the film. He had also my favorite song because
Yes.
I'll just say this now, as someone who really enjoys Disney films and enjoys musicals, aka like Greatest Showman, High School Musical, Hairspray, that kind of stuff. I'm not a
Yep.
classic musical fan, say like In the Heights or
Yes.
stuff like that, where this is a very classical musical where every 2 minutes somebody's singing about what's happening in the movie.
Yep.
For me, this movie kind of slowed to a halt because everything just felt like everybody was singing about it, where that kind of slows the movie down for me. And I
Yeah.
don't really enjoy the classical music vibe of a film. But
Hmm.
Oogie Boogie song felt so different from all the other songs that were happening. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, let's get into this. It's like kind of jazzy, kind of R&B, kind of up tempo, soul music, where he's just like
Exactly.
all up in his business. He's all flashy. But his scene was also the coolest because it had all the black light elements to it.
Hmm.
And every single stop motion film, the animation is absurdly incredible.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I don't even know. There was a scene at the beginning where Jack he leaves his area and he finds in the middle of the woods all the trees
Hmm.
that have all the doors. And he walks up to the door and you see the reflection animated in the door handle. And I'm like, how do you even pull that off? It's like, I've gone to animation school and I know certain things about compositing.
Yep.
But as someone who's done stop motion, I don't even comprehend animating to the camera glistening off the gold handle of the door and having a
Yep.
perfect image, because you'd have to remove the stand that's holding up Jack inside of the
Hmm.
door handle in reverse. So the animation is a 10 out of 10 all day long in all these movies because I know the labor of love it takes to make a movie like this. And I
Yeah.
couldn't even imagine, like,
Right.
especially with Zero. I don't even know how they did that. Was he a puppet or was it 3D? You think his wave was 3D? I don't even know.
I want to say that it was 3D, but I don't know for sure because
Yeah.
they had that mix of 3D. They did like all of the shadows and the silhouettes. They had that 2D drawn sort of look, so it was very crisp on whatever it was bouncing off of. But yeah, I think little details like that really tie really any stop motion animated film like together, and people might not even notice that
No.
bit of the scene. Like that goes so unnoticed to
Like
a
with the
lot of
snow.
people.
Animate him on the snow. How do you not touch the snow?
I have
Because
no
you're
idea.
using your hands to move them around. I just don't
Yeah.
understand. When he was flat in the snow, how do you
Yeah,
get in
he,
the
like,
snow to move him around?
Don't know. Well, like
yeah.
dig it out to make the hole. Do you like put them in and then lift them out? I don't know.
Yeah, I have no idea how they do that, but it's a marvel every time I watch stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like some of Sally's storyline was kind of cool because she was like fighting against her creator, but I just found her kind of annoying throughout the movie.
She has that like.
Sorry to all the Sally fans, but she's like Jack Skellington could care less about her until the very end of the movie, and she's all up like
she's like pining over him the whole movie.
It's like get over him.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, you have your own storyline with trying to get away from your Frankenstein scientist.
Yeah.
But like Jack is not the end of the world.
Exactly. It's like help him out, sure, but like I feel like the pining over him was a lot.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, we get it. He's the coolest.
Yeah,
or whatever.
but he was cooler with the pumpkin head, to be honest. I think I'm gonna make a hot take. Jack Skellington is overrated.
Yes. 100% agree. That okay, so his introduction
it was
in
amazing.
the movie, I'm like, I want a movie about that.
Because when he jumped in, I was like, he's the Pumpkin King.
Yes.
I was like,
not the Skeleton King.
Yeah. And then he comes back as the skeleton. He's dead. But I was like, this makes so much more sense. But yeah, another one of my favorite parts would be his minions that go get the Sandy Claus and stuff. It's so funny when they're trying to go grab people and they're like, oh, that's not him. And they go get like every time they go somewhere, it's hilarious.
They get the Easter Bunny.
Yeah, the Easter Bunny and then Sandy Claus. But yeah, there was a lot of nice little moments throughout the movie that were like, oh, that's really fun. That's really cool. That's so well done.
Yeah.
But some of the characters I just think are overrated.
Yes. And so
I
for
love
me,
the mayor. I love the mayor. He was cool.
he's great.
With his two, yeah.
He switches faces. Yeah. You're right. I think the character designs for a lot of the main characters are really cool.
Everything is cool. Let's be real.
Everything is, yeah.
All the set design, all the characters are very well designed.
Yeah. Agreed.
All the sets were incredible. I was like, how do you even build something like this?
Yes.
They were beautiful. So I'm going to, say that.
Yes,
but I just think they were overrated as characters.
Yes. And I liked, like you said, the smaller details of the movie. Like for me, there were a couple points where even Jack describing like Santa Claus, he's a jolly big dude in a puffy red jacket. Like he omits all of those things that make him who we think of Santa Claus, to make it sound like terrifying, to convince the townsfolk that Christmas is a good idea for Halloween Town. Oogie Boogie definitely best character.
It was so fun. Like as soon as he came on screen, because the whole movie, I'm like, again, with Disney over,
you see Oogie Boogie everywhere.
I'm like, okay, where's Oogie Boogie in this movie? There was a couple times you saw a shadow, and I was like, okay, this is cool. No, he wasn't there. And then you finally get him, and it's actually so rewarding when you do see him.
Yeah.
Because at that point, you're like, okay, I'm done with Jack Skellington. Give me something fresh. And his song was just so fun.
It reminds me of the Voodoo Man or Dr. Facilier in Princess and the Frog.
Yes.
That solely kind of spooky sound without being dramatic in the classical sense, right? It's just, it's cool. It's like bad. He's like, he's the bad guy.
And animating that scene, they like, I know you were talking about like adding shadows and stuff, but there was 100% animating in black light.
Yes.
To get all those colors to pop the way they did, because there was no other way they would have done that.
Like the blacks are black.
Yeah.
Like
they would have to use the black lights
to
create the lighting in order to invert all the colors the way they were. It was so cool.
No, that was so well done. And how they designed, well, everything is designed well, but like Oogie Boogie's lair, in the garbage chute, in the trench, and he uses like the die and he cheats on when he rolls the die. It's like, I'm like, yes, everything is just right about this. So you had mentioned you like musicals.
I do. I like the musical style of there's musical numbers within a movie.
Yeah.
Another Disney classic, the High School Musical series, where there's a story, but there's certain musical numbers 2 minutes at a time that don't they're not talking about, they're not singing the entire movie like Les Mis.
They're not
musical dance numbers.
Yeah.
And those say like Greatest Showman, musical dance numbers every now and then to add entertainment and excitement factor throughout the engaging kind of story. Like Greatest Showman is a perfect example of an amazing musical where there's an engaging story, but every so often they hit you with an amazing song and a performance. Whereas classical musicals, they
take you through the beats of everything. Yeah.
Whereas another one like Grease, that's in one where the story is there. You have dialogue set pieces, but then there's certain musical numbers that elevate and make it more memorable.
Yes.
Where it's not like, oh, we're singing about going to see Sandy. They do they have those moments, but it's not like it's pulling a rope. I'm lifting a tree. They're not singing their struggles as the scene is playing. Like people who listening know what I'm trying to say.
Exactly. And to be honest, like I'm not the biggest musical fan. Like I've never seen High School Musical.
I tell you, bro, you're missing out. It's one of my favorite musical franchises.
Okay. I'll check it out.
When I was starting to be a dancer in high school, like when I was 14, I started taking hip hop classes.
Yeah.
But I was low key a fan of musicals, like in Disney stuff, especially in grade school when the first one came out.
Yep.
Like I had the CD.
Yes, I remember
bring it to
that.
class and listen to it, but no one knew because I didn't want people to know.
Yep.
But when that second movie hit, I was learning all the routines just because it was so cool to have all that different style in a movie.
Yes.
And it be entertaining and stuff I really enjoyed because I was learning that I like to do this kind of stuff.
Right.
But the High School Musicals are classic.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm surprised. I'm sure Breeze watched them.
You know what?
Maybe have to watch them. You have to watch them.
I'll put them on.
They're like classic cheese. They're a simple Disney movie, but they're so fun.
Yeah.
No, the third one's my favorite.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Third one's my favorite. I saw it in theaters. I just the how the story progressed and the age of the characters and the songs, and it hit me the hardest because it was like where I was in my life, and the ending of the movie really got to me. But I just love all the songs and where everybody was.
Nice.
Graduating.
Okay.
Well, the second one's awesome too. Like there's so many good moments in the second one. They're all great.
Yeah.
You know, you can't also top the first one because it's a classic, but
right. I've watched The Greatest Showman because you told me, you're like, shut up and just watch it. I'm like, okay. And I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. And one of my favorite scenes was when they're like swinging in the
Rewrite the Stars.
Yes. Yeah. I was like,
it's phenomenal. But another thing is like, I'll watch Zac Efron in any movie he's in. Yeah. And he crushes it in High School Musical. He crushes it in Hairspray. And he crushes it in Greatest Showman. So like, he's finally in like Greatest Showman. I was like, he's finally back on top where he needs to be. Because he's a great actor, but I feel like Greatest Showman really brought him out of the Disney era of his life.
I get you.
He tried to do other like the rom-coms. He tried to do Nicholas Sparks. He was great in those, but I feel like he was still stuck in being, he's the High School Musical kid. Whereas he's done a lot of other stuff. But The Greatest Showman was really his maturity, realizing he's great in musicals, but transcending his earlier stages in career to his later stage.
Right. I definitely can't compare like The Greatest Showman and Nightmare Before Christmas.
No, they're like, way different films.
Yeah, they are. And for me, the songs in A Nightmare Before Christmas aren't like, they're not powerful pieces, right?
No.
But they're interesting. The introduction song in Nightmare Before Christmas, they do key changes like left, right, and center. And it adds to the fullness of the song. It keeps you on your toes. So like thematically, when Danny Elfman was writing the songs, like you can kind of picture it's like it's spooky. It's not something you're used to. And I think that's how what I always come back to when I think of this movie. It's not the typical movie. It's not a movie that I'm going to watch religiously every single Halloween season or fall season,
Christmas, because it's more of a Christmas movie, I find.
Right. It's like right down the middle. Like there's your Christmas. Like, so I can watch it anytime between like, middle of October and like almost Christmas time.
Right.
But the musical numbers don't catch you. They don't get you in like the soul like other musicals might. But I think it makes sense for this movie because it's a heartwarming-ish story. Like, I guess to summarize the ending, Jack realizes that he's messed up. He essentially tried to rewrite who he is. Right. And he tried, he royally failed, and now he's got to fix it. And he does. But that's about as heartwarming as it gets.
It's like he's an outcast that wants to be involved in other things.
Yeah, he's
like,
bored.
This is a movie for outcasts because he wants to be accepted other places other than just being the Halloween guy.
Exactly. That's the interesting thing. He is literally like the best at what he does. He's the king, of Halloween, and he's dissatisfied with it. And I think that is a cool sentiment, like especially for people trying to find their voice, trying to find out who they are. I think it definitely does resonate with a lot of people. And for that, I understand why so many people gravitate towards it. That's not me though. Right?
It's not me either.
It's not
I'll find
us.
it in other movies.
Exactly. But I think the overall execution of the movie is great. Like the animation,
it's a well-made movie for sure.
Yeah, like the voice actors do an amazing job. It's directed well.
Which to another thing.
Yeah.
I don't know why they do this, but they market this movie as Tim Burton's Nightmare Before Christmas, and he doesn't even make this movie. He's a producer, but he didn't direct this movie, so I don't think he should get all the credit.
So
they just want to give it more. Because he was the edgy director at the time. He did Batman. He did all this stuff, and he was at the top of his game. So they're like, "Oh, let's just throw his name there because he's producing the movie." But he didn't direct it.
No, it's interesting because on most of the things that he's on, his name gets put at the top of the movie, and it's always called like Tim Burton's whatever. And I'm like, well, he like penned the story and he produced, but like Henry Selick directed, and Henry Selick did like Coraline, he did James and the Giant Peach, big stop motion films. And I was watching the movie and I'm like, where the heck's his name? It's like, it comes in later, but Tim Burton's Nightmare Before Christmas. And it's like, I get it. He had a big hand in writing the story, but it's like most other movies, you see the director like front and center. I want to see Martin Scorsese's name like right there. So it's interesting that happens with Tim Burton's movies.
Because they're not letting the director shine. Like, he's directed 3 great films, and he's not getting the credit he deserves, even though that was probably his first one.
It was.
Right?
It was his first feature film.
So hot at the time, Disney, they were like, okay, we have to make people aware who's behind the movie to try to get, say, funding for advertising, that kind of deal.
Yeah.
It's like Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. If it wasn't Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, it was just called Pinocchio, you wouldn't have any backing for the movie probably at all.
Right. I think the sentiment of the movie for the outcast, the people trying to find their voice, the misfits, if you will, I think is really nice. It's very sweet. It's a good message for people who don't think they fit into the typical formula. Despite all of the heavy push that Disney has on it, I think people will still appreciate it down the road. I think a lot of stop motion films are essentially timeless because it's not the typical, VFX CG stuff that we see in movies nowadays that might be outdated in 5-10 years. It's got its own unique look. It's got a charm for the time that it was made. And that's kind of another reason I like it. I don't have to like go into this movie and be like, oh, this is hard to watch because it doesn't look good anymore. It's still super impressive.
Well, stop motion films will always be impressive.
Yeah. So you do stop motion.
Yeah.
Right?
It's hard work.
Yeah. like seeing your process or you building your set pieces. This guy has like 12 points of articulation and like you made him do a backflip. Good job. Like, and it looks good. Right? Like,
yeah, like 2 minutes of animation takes me like 3 months.
Right. The last thing that you were doing, was that Space Jam?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I remember you were sending me like updates on it. Man, this is a process.
Yeah. I did that from February to like the end of April, and then I did 2 weeks of post-production to put it together.
Right? Like, and that was how long was the video?
2 minutes.
Right.
And I would say 20 seconds of it was like intro credits and outro cards, and it was like a minute and a half of straight 24-second animation.
Yeah. So some of our listeners may watch this movie out of season. Just saying. Like, I know people that watch Christmas movies all year round. So that might be the thing for this movie for some people. What for you makes a holiday movie good and memorable?
Number one, it has to be feel good.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, it encompasses basically all the fictitious characters we grew up believing in and still believe in, like say the Tim Allen Santa Clauses or the Jim Carrey Grinches.
Yep.
Which will both be on the podcast coming soon.
Woo.
But I think it has to do with the creation of the movies, how well they adapt to the stories it's basically nostalgia as kids growing up, and they create them in a more fun viewing experience. How it makes you feel, right? The Santa Clauses, the joy of Christmas movies is the reason why people keep watching them, even out of season. Like they're just feel good movies. They're like romantic comedies.
Yes.
But with, holiday.
Exactly. I get it. I get it. Now, do you have like a specific fall/Halloween movie that you gravitate towards?
See, I don't know a lot of Halloween movies, but let me tell you, like probably everybody else, Harry Potter starts in November and ends on December 23rd or something.
Okay. All right. I like it.
You have those. The Grinch has to happen every year. Like people obviously watch Elf every year.
Yes.
Some people watch the old Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, all those claymation, films that were created back then. Yeah, just everything has a season, but I don't think this movie, I wouldn't really consider Halloween for me. I would put it more into the Christmas November category. Whereas Halloween, I never really had something I was like, oh, I got to watch something spooky I needed to watch. Like now, like, we just watch, say, Quiet Place just because it was spooky, right?
Sure.
There's nothing, I don't think any character like Santa Claus or the Grinch that are like, I have to watch every single October because it's the holiday.
That's interesting because I was there a couple years ago. I never watched a Halloween or fall themed movie.
Like
For
we can
some,
watch, for example, like say some of us might watch Halloween episodes of a TV show.
yes.
For example, like from the 90s, there was the Boy Meets World Halloween episode. You know, you
Hmm.
have all the Disney has a whole category for Halloween stuff. Alvin and the Chipmunks. You have every Scooby Doo. I think Scooby Doo is one you would say you would watch every October. Like the first Scooby Doo live action, and say like one of the animated ones, they do a
Yes.
Halloween because it's all mystery and spooky. But
Yeah.
other than that, I feel like it's just people going back to their favorite episode that was a Halloween episode, like Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yes.
Every
Yeah.
that's one we kind of go, Halloween.
I totally get, like the Halloween or the fall specials, like the Friends Thanksgiving episodes or whatever,
Yeah.
the Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Yeah.
It brings out the idea in you that it's that time of year.
Yes.
Because say the November, December era, it makes like Christmas makes people feel good because they get to see their families.
Yeah.
Most of us get time off,
Yeah.
either vacation, there's snow. Snow is a
Yep.
very stressless kind of,
Yeah.
if it's light, it's coming down, you feel good, you have like a coffee or
Ting, ting, ting,
cocoa.
ting, ting. Yes.
It's like a feel good thing. So anytime someone can put something on like those examples, it just brings them that time period.
Yep.
Where Halloween is more like, not people like being scared.
Yes.
I think that's why there's not many Halloween movies other than horror.
Right. Yeah. And this year I've actually been struggling to find things to watch that I really want to watch at Halloween. And this has just started, I'd say 5-6 years now. I've been watching It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown Thanksgiving. I'll watch Over the Garden Wall, the 12-episode miniseries from Cartoon Network, and like I'll sprinkle in a couple other things. Like we watched Wednesday again. Well, I watched it for a second time. Bree watched it for the first time, and then
you watch Casper. Andrea loves Casper.
Bree loves Casper. Oh my! So okay,
is it Casper or is it because when you're kids, Casper turns into a real boy,
right?
And all the girls swooned over this kid. But now, as you're an adult, people swoon over the dad. So I think it's a whole cult thing where people just Casper is.
I'm gonna ask her. I'm gonna call her out tonight.
Yeah.
Now, I don't remember watching Casper as a kid. That was what, like, I think I just like skipped over it. My parents had never bought it, never saw it, and then Bree showed it to me, and I'm like, "It's okay." Yeah. She's like, "What?
It's okay." And I'm like, "It's a 10 out of 10." You see this ghost?
And I'm just like, I don't know. I felt it was paced quickly, like at breakneck speed that I'm not used to. It's a kid's movie, right? Yeah. It just kind of threw me off, and I'm like, that's okay. I thought it was fun. So she actually watched it without me because she's like, you don't get to watch it with me this year.
But I guess there's also the Ghostbuster movies as well.
That's true.
So
that's true.
There is some Halloween movies, but at Christmas is people return to those just because of how Christmas makes people feel.
Fall is the time to get ready for Christmas. It's the build up. And because now that we're both working, we're full-time jobs, like life goes by quickly. And I want to be able to appreciate the things at the end of the day for it to not go by so fast. Because when we're kids, we're like, we go to school, we come home, we play video games, play music, whatever. And then boom, it's the weekend and we get to enjoy it. But now it's like, oh, things are going fast. I want to actually slow it down. And I want to find those things that I can appreciate when I slow down. And if it's Charlie Brown Thanksgiving or It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown, those things are classic. They're timeless. And for some reason, they kicked something up in my head that's like, this is cozy. This is fall to me, right? That's why I go back to that. And it's a way for me to get ready to watch way too many movies. Like, I think the wintertime is the only time that I actually watch a lot of movies and TV. Any other time of the year, I'm like, nope, that's okay. I'll wait. I'll save my TV time for fall and winter.
That's because you're not going outside with 3 feet of snow out there.
Very true.
The epitome of shoveling a driveway just makes, nope, I'm staying inside with the fireplace on,
Exactly.
making cocoa, putting on a movie or a show. It's
If I doze off a little bit, that's okay. I'll wake up in the middle.
Fall and winter is.
Oh, it's the best.
Yeah.
Now, that kind of brings up the idea for me of like the different seasons, and certain things have a time and a place. Gargoyles, like we just finished. Like, to me, that's a fall show. I'm going to associate that now with fall because I could put on 12 episodes of Gargoyles. It's like kind of spooky enough.
Yeah.
That's like early fall. That's like beginning of October 1st. Put the 12 episodes on.
Yeah.
That makes sense to me now. And I think associating different times of the year with fond memories makes those times even more special because you have that previous memory and then you can build on it, right? You can say, oh, now I watched this show with, my partner, with my wife, or now we have Elvis where we could watch the movie with the dog cuddling up on us. It's like, you just kind of build on those previous experiences and it makes it even like stronger for you. And then you want to go back to it more and more each year. And you kind of build a tradition out of it, whatever that might be. I won't dismiss Nightmare Before Christmas in any way, but I see that one as that nice transition between seasons. It's not like a definitive fall movie. It's not a definitive Christmas movie for me. It's somewhere in the middle because it hasn't really hit me yet. Maybe one time when I watch it, this is going to be like a thing that I do from now on. And kind of going back to the idea of a comfortable place for us, I think Nightmare Before Christmas does that. It provides a place for, again, like I said, people who might be a little bit of what they consider an outcast, or people still finding their voice or finding who they want to be. They've got to try different things and see what sticks. They might be really good at something and it might not be the most satisfying to them. You could have a kid who's great at math or music and they've been good at it all their life and it's almost boring to them. It's essentially what Jack was, right? He was so good at scaring people that it became not special. And he had to dip his toes into other things. He had to really step out of his comfort zone and prove to himself that he could do something else too. And in the end, it didn't work, but that's okay because he tried it and he acknowledged, like, you know what, I am really good at this thing and it's given me a new perspective on it. I don't have to be good at everything or even like a lot of things, but I should do like a good job with what I'm given in life. And that's what he did.
He's okay with the skin he's in.
Exactly. If you like Nightmare Before Christmas and you want to watch it in July, go for it. If you want to watch it in October or December, that's your thing. Brian, final thoughts on the movie. What did it make you feel?
I'm not going to take anything away from the movie, considering the animation was so well done and the message of the movie I completely understand. I just don't see myself going back to it ever again in terms of it being that kind of a musical that doesn't appeal to me. Yes. But I totally understand those who put this on every year because they want to go through this journey that Jack goes on because that's how they feel about their life.
Yeah.
I totally get it. I totally get the vibe of the movie.
Yep.
The people that are attracted to the look, the characters, the designs.
Mm-hmm.
I totally get it. But I do also think that Disney is the only reason why this movie still has legs.
Yes.
Because other stop motion films that are superior don't get the same kind of love, which they should. So I think overall as a film, it would be just like those. It would be a cult classic that only a few kind of go back to, and it's not as mainstream as Nightmare Before Christmas.
That's a good point. And I think for me, trying other stop motion films and even trying other musicals is a up on my list. So I think this has been a cool experience, kind of talking to you about it, getting your perspective from a not spooky guy.
Yeah, I don't consider this movie that spooky.
Well,
it has fun spooky vibes. It's not scary.
Right. So scary is like horror.
This is like Scooby-Doo level of spook.
Scooby-Doo, yeah. Scooby-Doo is spooky and not scary.
Yeah.
This is 100% a spooky movie, but not scary at all. Kids can watch it, adults can watch it, and not be worried about being scared.
Yes.
And you're not the spooky, you don't vibe with the spooky, I don't think.
I can watch them, but I just prefer not to.
Yeah. I remember watching
like the Conjuring and all that kind of, like The Ring and the Mirrors movie, like all this stuff with the demons. Get me out of there.
Yep. Sorry, folks. We're not going to be talking about scary movies. We can't even picture in picture scary movie.
The Hills Have Eyes. None of that stuff. Although we did watch Saw a couple weeks ago, and that was really good. Like the first 3 movies I've seen of Saw. But then there's like The Quiet Place, like the thrillers. I'm more of a thriller than a horror guy.
Yes.
Like Scream. Yeah. Scream's a great movie. Scream 6 is also very good.
Is that the newest one?
Yes.
It's good.
Yes.
Okay. Maybe I'll watch that.
So yeah, I'm not the horror, so much blood and gore, like the demon kind of vibe. I'm like, just spook. I like spooky. Some fun spook.
Yes. Please, anybody who has watched it or wants to watch it, leave a comment. Let us know what you think of the movie, why it vibes with you, why it doesn't. Do you like spooky? Do you like Christmas better? All those, answer all those questions. Thank you very much for tuning in with us. This is Tours.
Just Tours on a Sunday.
Tours for sure.
Tours on a Sunday.
Thank you very much for tuning in. This has been 2 Hours on the Sunday. I'm Nick.
And I'm Brian. And we'll catch you guys later.
Bye.